Welcome, you guys, and welcome to a live video. It's very interesting. I've never been live on YouTube before, but this is definitely going to be fun. So I hope you guys are going to be joining because I'm going live on my phone. Maybe I should have used my computer instead. That way I could have communicated on my Instagram while being live. Maybe that'll be for next time. But for now, it's just me chilling. And maybe I can go on my Instagram on my computer and tell you guys that I'm live. Okay, so we're talking about how to level up as a neurodivergent. And you guys really like my live on my Instagram, but I am not always very good at doing the live videos on Instagram because they don't save them and they don't save all of your questions. So that's why I thought being live on YouTube might be a better idea. So, hey, welcome. I hope that I can see the questions. Do questions, make sure you ask a question because I don't know if these questions come up on the screen. Okay, they do. They're supposed to. Hey, and welcome. It feels a little silly, no? It's okay. Silly is good. Hey, welcome. Welcome to my live video. I hope you are doing great. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to see you here. I wish I could see who it is, but I can't. Hey, and welcome. We're going live. It's gonna be fun. I hope you guys are having a great day so far. I've been looking forward to doing this live video, especially because I feel like it's different here than it is on Instagram. So I'm very happy to have you guys here. And yeah, let's talk. Make sure you leave comments or questions or whatever it is you want to talk about in the comment section, and then we'll go over it. And I hope you have a great day so far. Yeah. I'm currently on my Instagram looking because I have no clue. I should probably have gone live on my computer just so I could talk, like post on my Instagram while I'm on live. Yes. So anyways, it's very interesting being live on YouTube. Is different. Yeah. So yeah, make sure you ask your questions. If you have any questions, Aliel from Instagram, make sure you go ask them. It's just me and you out here. If you have any questions, just let me know. I would love to answer. Hey, welcome. Welcome to my live. Welcome here. Hope you're doing great. Make sure you ask any questions if you have any questions about anything. Let's get this chat going. Not that many people on here right now, but you know what? That's all right. We're just gonna do questions. Hey and welcome. We're doing questions about how to level up as a neurodivergent. If you joined from my Instagram, I'm so thankful to see you here. And make sure you ask any questions. This is a free space. I'm all for making sure that everything seems good, everything is happy, all of that. I mean, honestly, I'm just all about being authentically me, I guess. So we're just gonna answer questions. If you have any, feel free to ask any questions. I feel kind of like if you've ever seen like a TV show where it's like there's someone in the reception, they're like, "Hi and welcome." That's me right now. Hi and welcome to my live video. We've been live for 5 minutes now, and this has been so fun. Hey, and welcome to my live video. We're doing a Q&A about how to level up as a neurodivergent. This is obviously a little bit different because I'm here and it's just me, and it's a live video. It's not videos. So make sure you ask your questions so we can get this going. Oh, hey, Emily. I honestly love your content so much. Has already helped me leave my lame boyfriend. LOL. Life is already so much better. That is honestly so great to hear. That's what I'm all about. I mean, obviously, I don't know if I'm all about, you know, leaving people, but I think if you do it for you, that's all great. I think when you truly find who you are and set your boundaries and set your standards, then you'll realize what people are not good for you and what people are absolutely definitely not worthy of being in your life. So I'm happy for you that you had the courage and went and left your lame boyfriend, because that's what I'm all about. Taking, setting your boundaries, setting your standards high. Exactly. It's a part of leveling up. Thank you, Emily, for being here. This is fun. Right now, it's just me and you chatting. This is fun. I love this. Make sure you ask any questions if you have any, because being live, you get the tips right from the source. And yeah, so let me know if you have any tips or any tips. Well, if you have any tips, that's also great. If you have any questions at all. But yeah, I'm very happy to see you here, Emily. And yeah, if you felt in your heart after watching my content that leaving your boyfriend was the right thing to do, I think that was the right thing to do. That's just what I believe. I think that's something that definitely when you level up as a neurodivergent, you'll realize a lot more, is that a lot of people are definitely not right for you, or you're gonna have to leave a lot of people behind because they're what's up? I'm autistic, ADHD, filmmaker, actor, and screenwriter. I'm struggling with loneliness. What should I do? Well, honestly, personally, I'm someone who struggled with loneliness, or just like the idea of being alone, a lot myself. I was someone who thought that I needed to be around people all the time in order for me to be fulfilled, in order to feel like I was a regular human being. Especially when you're neurodivergent, you already feel a little bit like outside compared to everyone else, and that's something that I definitely think is something we might not talk about the right way in the neurodivergent community. um and especially because, wow, all the comments. Okay. I don't know how this comment thing works. Um, live chat viewing options. Okay, well, I'm sorry, I get a little distracted. I don't know how this chat thing on YouTube works. But one thing that I do know is that when it comes to loneliness, being neurodivergent can absolutely be a deal breaker, because you feel that you're already like a little bit outside the group or whatever it is society is. But the thing is, when you're neurodivergent, a lot of the times your superpowers or your traits that make you you and that actually bring you much more forward in life will come out when you spend more time alone. So I think the thing you need to overcome is actually the boundary of feeling like being alone or being lonely is a bad thing, because honestly, there are going to be many periods in your life where you're going to be alone, and those times are actually the times where you have the most space in your life to focus on yourself. Think about a mom has a kid and she has to take care of this kid all the time. She's never really alone. When you're alone, you have a lot more time to focus on yourself, and actually it's a big gift. So it can feel a little daunting, and it can feel a little, what do you call it, soul wrenching or whatever they say, that you are spending a lot of time alone all the time, but you know what? It actually can be a bigger gift than what you actually think it is. And I think the easiest way to overcome it, I think it's not necessarily about overcoming it. I think it might be more about taking it for what it is, being honest with yourself about being lonely. There's nothing shameful in that. Most people in this world are lonely, I think. And then say, well, if I'm spending my time alone, what can I do to make this time the best for me? I'm someone, I love to watch, movies. I watch a lot of TV. I mean, if you're a filmmaker, then you're obviously into movies a lot. So watching a lot of movies and getting really into that, your special interests, that's something that you can definitely do. Yeah, okay, Emily, you asked a question. Let's see what you're... I am so bad with these questions. The questions keep disappearing and I'm on my phone. Maybe I should just not be on my phone. Maybe I should have just gone live on my computer instead. I think that would have been easier. Maybe that's what I need to do next time. But one thing I don't like is that YouTube on the computer mirrors your face. So like the things that are happening to the left are actually happening to the right. And I think that's really confusing and it actually kind of messes with me a little bit. Anyways, make sure you leave any questions, any comments, whatever it is you want to talk about. Make sure you leave them in the comment section and I will read them in the speed of light and I will answer them, because as it seems, YouTube Live is messing with me a little bit and I don't like that. I'm a little confused about how YouTube Live works, but we'll get there. We're having fun, no? Make sure you ask any questions. If you have any questions about how to level up as a neurodivergent, that's what we're talking about today. And I will answer them to the best of my ability. Okay, yeah. I should just have gone live on YouTube on my computer, no? Let me see if I can set that up. But yeah. Make sure you leave any questions, and if you don't have any, that's okay too. What lipstick do I use? Right now I'm actually using like a lip liner I got on holiday that I bought 5 of it. So wait, I'm typing, I'm trying to read it. Okay. I bought like 5 of it and I'm running on my last one. So some really cheap lip liner, and then I use, well, this is the one that actually does it. I'm using this YSL lip thing on top, and I love these YSL ones, but you can see that this one's pretty like used up. Smells really good though. Like it smells like candy. Okay. I've been bullied and judged based on past mistakes. Okay, I'm trying to read it. And for being autistic, it puts a stain on my mental health as I'm trying to move forward. Why can't I read? Is it just me or do these comments just disappear? Ah, I can see him now. I can see him now. Oh, you guys, I found the comments. Ah, this is great. Okay, it's I've been bullied and judged based on past mistakes and being why did it disappear now? You guys, oh, it's here. It puts a stain on my mental health and I'm trying to move forward. Being bullied as a neurodivergent is definitely never fun. I think we've all been through some type of bullying. Me, myself, I actually didn't understand that people were bullying me for a long time, especially because I wasn't really bullied the way that a lot of, like getting a wedgie or something like that. I got bullied in a way where people were calling me smarty pants and stuff, and oh, you're so smart, huh? And I took things so directly. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'm smart. So I didn't really realize I was getting bullied. But the thing about bullying, and I think this is something that most people have been told by their parents even, is that people only bully you if they have something that they're insecure about. Secure people don't bully people. Secure people don't waste their time on messing up other people's lives. And as much as it can be hard and as much as it takes a toll on you being bullied, the thing is, there's bullying everywhere in the world. There's bullying at work. There's bullying in school. There's bullying online, especially online. But the only way that you can overcome bullying is by being mentally stronger yourself and not letting yourself be impacted by it. And as much as that kind of sounds like a conundrum, because of course you're going to be impacted by it if you're around it, the best way for you to not be impacted by it is kind of like take yourself out of the equation. People will always bully you. People make fun of, me online on my, TikTok. People ask weird questions and feel like they need to ask personal questions about this and this and that. But the thing is, you just don't have to engage. You don't need to engage. You don't owe people engaging with things that put you down. You don't owe them that, because the only thing that happens is kind of like when poke people back after them poking you, you're just going to continue poking each other. And it's a classic bullying trope that you just got to leave people be, but in reality you're only going to make people want to get you more if you actually make it clear that you're upset by what they do. And as I said, people who bully, they're all around, but the only reason that they actually bully is because they don't have something in their life that they need. They are feeling insecure. They are having trouble at home, or whatever it is they deal with. They need something and it's gone, it's not there, and you shouldn't be the one trying to make them have that in their lives. You should just be the one who understands that they're not complete, they have some issues they need to work on, and that's why they bully. It's not going to make people not bully you, but it makes you understand that it's actually not personal towards you. They're doing it because it's personal towards them to make other people feel bad. It's kind of like you've never really seen like really, really, really successful people. They don't really have time to bully people. I mean, there might be a couple celebrities out there that like being a part of drama, but usually that's strategic. Okay, any tips for being liked by teachers at university and stop the mistreatment from the mean girls and boys there? Well, let me tell you this. I went to university and I dropped out. I couldn't do that. But one thing I do know is that the best way for you to leave a good impression on a teacher, and I've done this multiple times, is to be upfront with them. Every time after class, you go ask them a question. You send them emails asking about stuff material. Basically, you go ask them questions, and it's not necessarily questions about the material. It's questions about them. Not like, what type of coffee do you like, Mr. Edwards? Or whatever. No, you go ask them questions about like, oh, so is there a reason why you chose this book we're reading in class? Because I think it's pretty interesting, but I was just looking to find more information or different books that also reflect this, and I would just really like to know your opinion because I think it's an interesting book. That way your teacher feels heard. Imagine being a teacher. A teacher has like 30 students, 25 students, depends on the teacher, of course. And all of these students, they are just people. And next year, they're going to have another batch of students and students. They have so many students across the year. The only reason they're going to be able to give you better grades for just being you is if you go and ask them a couple personal questions. Not personal, but about material, for example. I remember when I told someone that none of the people I went to high school with that follows me shares my content. Let me just look. She told me that it's because they're jealous because I have something special. Well, first and foremost, something that I will always encourage is to get off of social media with people that you used to go to school with. Go and delete your old social medias, or at least deactivate them. Actually, don't delete them. Let people think that you're still existing on that Instagram so that they don't go looking for your new Instagram. But make sure that you stop using your old Instagrams as your primary Instagrams. If you're using social media, you need to use them to better yourself. You need to use them as a tool, not to rot yourself. And if you're constantly waiting for old people in your life to reaffirm you, like repost your content, repost whatever niche stuff you're really into, you're really fishing in shallow waters. There's not going to be anything that's actually going to bite and actually going to stick, because these people are just there because you were put together in a classroom. They're not there because they care about you. They're not there because they care about your interests. Maybe some of your friends are, but in reality, most of the people that follow you because you met them in a bathroom stall at a club, or because you you know, met them in high school once or whatever it is. You met people from Instagram or you follow on TikTok or whatever. These people don't really care about what you post. And that's why you shouldn't be having them in your life. Don't surround yourself with people that do not care, because you know what these people only want to do? These people only want to like snoop on your life. They want to watch you as a reality TV show, watch you mess up. They want to see what you got going on. And it's kind of like this evil eye that's always looking at you and always trying to pick you apart. And it's actually going to set you back significantly from being able to achieve the things that you really want to achieve. Because you're constantly going to have this feeling that every time you post something, it's going to be like, ooh, do I really want to post this? Do I really want to do this? Am I really good enough to be able to make better for myself? Because what if all of these people judge me? You're setting yourself up to be judged. The same thing goes for if you follow a lot of people that are constantly sharing a lot of BS. You know, maybe they're really negative. Maybe the only thing they want to share is things around the world that are going wrong. That's going to have an effect on you mentally. You're going to click on that the first thing you do in the morning. Of course, you're going to end up feeling frustrated. Of course, you're going to end up feeling helpless. It's so important that when you use social media, you use it for a purpose that actually makes your life better, especially when you're neurodivergent, because it actually has such a big impact on the mood you set for yourself. And if you wake up in a bad mood because you saw, you know, some people didn't repost, or people looked at your story but they didn't react or whatever, that's going to send you into a spiral of constantly feeling like people are watching you, but they're not really helping you out. And so it's better for you to just go start your new social medias. Don't tell anyone about it. And then fill your feed with funny videos, animals, self-help content, and whatever makes you feel happy when you wake up in the morning. That's what you need to focus on. And it can be tough because we're very addicted nowadays to watching what other people are doing, especially in our lives. I know for a fact, you know, I've had a couple times where I've gone back on my private Instagram and I've been like, okay, I'm sitting here and I'm like practically almost like looking through everyone's stories. And why am I doing it? It's kind of addicting, but I'm not doing it because it makes me feel better. I'm doing it because of habit and because I don't want to miss out on what people are doing. But in reality, it's actually stealing all of the time that I could put focus on me. Wow, that was long. So I hope that kind of answers your question a little bit. Let me see. I don't know if it was a question even, but you know, I answered it anyways. So if you have any more you want to ask, make sure you ask. I can talk for hours, so this is great. This is going to be fun. Maybe I should release it on my YouTube, like as a video, so people can go watch it after. It's going to be funny because the first couple minutes are just going to be me sitting like this. Because there's no one in the live. Anyways. Make sure you ask questions, guys. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to answer your questions about how to level up as a neurodivergent. Okay. All theoretical materials about how to climb in society is written for neurotypical males, unrelatable and unusable at best. Plan out lies, words. You seem to be a big fan of loss of power. Do you have any more recommendations that have direct tools and doesn't contain too much lies that people tell themselves? I have a lot of books that I actually do read that help to facilitate your life. One thing that I will say though is that when you read a book and when you watch people talk about that book on social media, people are always going to have their opinion about the book. So when you see people talking about 48 Laws of Power and how, you know, it's written towards maybe neurotypical men, of course, it's a man who wrote the book. Of course, it's going to be a little more male-centered. He doesn't have any other perspective. But one thing I want you to think is understand that any book you can read can be made into your own path. It's about how you use it. And if you sit and you open the book and say, this is going to be not towards me, you're not going to find anything that works towards you. But at the same time, if you sit down and read the book and say, this book actually could work for me, I just have to think about how can I apply it and turn it to my favor, then it will actually be applicable. That's how I've used 48 Laws of Power. Another book that I really like is Mastery by, I think, Robert Greene too. Mastery is really good. Mastery is a book about how you can how it's about heightening the skills that you already have instead of necessarily trying to be good at multiple small things. And that's one thing that neurodivergents are very, very good at. Neurodivergents have special interests. They have these things that they're extremely good at. And that's something that you need to lean into. You know, a lot of the times people, when they are really bad at math and they're really good at English, people try to get them a math tutor and not an English tutor. But the thing is, we need to focus on making yourself better at what you're really good at. Because when you focus yourself on being better at what you're really good at, then you can become a master. And when you can master a skill, you can teach that skill to other people. And that's something that's that has a lot of value and that can actually make you very successful. Okay, I'm gonna just look at your question. It keeps disappearing. Okay. So one thing that I also, there's this book, I can't remember what the book is actually called. I'm gonna put it on my Instagram so you guys can look at it. It's a book about money, and it's a book that talks about how to manifest money and become better at handling money. And it's very honest, and I really like that. I just really like books that are very straightforward and just tell me how things work, and then I can kind of interpret it in my own way. But I don't really have the books right here. I might have a couple in my cupboard, but then I would have to disappear from the video, and I don't really want to do that. So ask questions and I'll get back to you. You guys, this is really awkward. One thing that I can also really recommend is actually reading a lot of nonfiction, or not nonfiction. I can recommend reading a lot of fiction, because fiction actually teaches you a lot about human nature and how people behave, unless it's like really weird type fiction. Why do all of my books are like hidden away. But yeah, I'm trying to find it, you guys. I might have to just look for it another time, because right now I'm just disappearing from the live video, and that is no good. I should be here with my face on. I'm back. I'm back, you guys. I'm back. Another book that I'm actually reading right now, I found it at the thrift store, or like a book sale for $1. It's called Spiritual Maturity. And spiritual maturity, I mean, I don't think it's available online like that, but I do know that this book has really been a very great insight. This guy talks a lot about living in the moment, and one thing that I do really like is just reading people's anecdotes about why they have ended up being spiritual. But one thing I do believe when it comes to being spiritual, because I do believe in being spiritual, is that spirituality without being able to control your life is vanity. You have a lot of people out there who want to be spiritual, but in reality, they're not really spiritual, because they are still stuck in their own victim complex. They're still stuck not being able to figure out what they want to do, who they want to be, all of this, all of that. And they're just, maybe they're just walking around in their Birkenstocks and eating vegan food, and then that means that they're spiritual. I mean, you can definitely be spiritual and do those things, but what I mean is there's a lot of spiritual nonsense out there, and if you can't control the reality you want to live, then you are not really able to use being spiritual for the purpose you want to use being spiritual for. Does that make sense? I don't know if it does. But I'm trying to answer questions, but if you have any questions, let me know. It would be fun. I'm just sitting here, just me and my book. It makes sense. Okay, good. Yeah, sometimes I feel like, well, that's neurodivergent in me. Maybe. Just, of course. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that, you like my content and my videos and all of that. Make sure you ask any questions. I'm here to answer them. That's what I'm here to do. So just feel free to ask whatever, and I'll answer whatever I can, the best I can. That's what I'm here to do. You're trying to meet more neurodivergents just like you, okay? And the question is, I'm waiting for the question. What should you do? Well, first and foremost, I think it's important not to paint neurodivergents and neurotypicals as different species or whatever. I think it's very important that we understand that you can actually find a lot of good neurotypical friends. Neurotypical people can be very great tools. I don't mean it like you need to use them as a tool, but they can be really good to get to places you need to go. They can be really good at teaching you where to, you know, how to get the resources and the accommodation and the peace you need as a neurodivergent, because a lot of neurotypical, especially when they're older, they have learned a lot about how to do things in society. And it's more or less automatic, and they have a lot of doors open, or they have a lot of opportunities, or they just know how to get to where they need to go. And sometimes it can be a good idea to jump on that train, because sometimes that will make you be able to relax, and just where people are like you're on autopilot, while neurotypicals can help take you where you need to go. Excuse me. But yeah. But when it comes to meeting neurodivergence, I think it's very important that you seek out things that you are interested in, not just seek out neurodivergence. Because one thing that I have definitely noticed, and one thing that I've definitely learned across my years as a neurodivergent, which is my whole life, is that a lot of neurodivergents are not going to be good for you, and that's not because they're not good people or whatever. It's because they're in a different part of their lives. That's why I always advocate for being friends with neurotypicals as well, having neurotypicals in your group or in your life or whatever it is you want to have, because neurotypicals can actually teach you a lot, but neurodivergents are not necessarily going to be good for you or right for you unless they're doing the same things as you. So say, for example, you're trying to level up your life, you're trying to become a better version of yourself, and you're trying to, get to where you need to go or whatever. Maybe some of the neurodivergent people that you think are just like, that's neurodivergent right there, I'm going to go and be friends with them. They might not be able to resonate with you. They might actually not be good for you, because they might not be ready to level up their own lives. They might be stuck. Maybe they have a victim complex. Maybe they're complainers. Maybe they're just not in the part of their lives where they can level up and become a better version of themselves. And it's very important that you stay away from people or even neurodivergents who are not ready to level up. So make sure you go places where people are ready to do the same as you. So say if you're really into, I don't know, golfing, go golfing. And eventually you'll find someone neurotypical or neurodivergent who will like doing the same as you and who you will click with. Same thing goes for any other activity. If you're really into literature, sign up for a book club. Eventually, you'll find some neurodivergent friend in that book club. It doesn't necessarily need to be neurodivergent catered. It just needs to be something that you're interested in. Because the thing about seeking out neurodivergent spaces is that sometimes you'll be met with prejudice, even from neurodivergents. And neurodivergents always talk about how it's all about, not putting yourself in a box. But in reality, even neurodivergents put neurodivergents in a box. That can be really dangerous. Do you have more universal tools like that you say about glamorous looks? It works with pretty much everywhere in any setting. Maybe you found a sweet spot of being nice versus direct. Some rule of thumb reading for the room. Well, first and foremost, I very much believe in pretty privilege, and that's what you also said. So I think that's great that you picked up on that. I think that's pretty clear. Anyways, pretty privilege can take you anywhere. especially because neurodivergents are generally also very smart. So you have both brains, and if you leverage your pretty privilege, then you also have beauty. And if you leverage both brains and beauty, then you'll pretty much be able to go anywhere if you use it strategically. Another thing that I definitely think can be very useful is I think it's very important that you focus on being articulate when it comes to, asking questions. So no hanging around when it comes to, oh, I'm sorry, it's just because, or it's just because that, or I'm sorry, this and this happened. I used to be the type of person who would always have to make an explanation or come up with a reason for maybe being late, maybe saying no to something that, I got offered. Maybe, not wanting to go out to, have fun with a friend. Maybe I just didn't want to do that. I feel like I had to come up with a reason. And I think that's one thing that can definitely be very good is when you're neurodivergent, especially when you're a woman, because you've been taught to people please your whole life, both as a neurodivergent, but also as a woman, is that you just focus on being a little more like, what do you call it? Unapologetic. And that doesn't mean you need to be harsh. It doesn't mean you need to be sour. Definitely not. Have a smile on your face if possible. I have resting pea face, I feel like. So when I walk around, I can look a little bit like, but when I focus on having like a more neutral or smiley face, I feel like when I do put my point across, especially when I look good as well, when I say like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't make it today. I have something that came up. Then it seems like people respect you a little more. And that's something that I think a lot of neurodivergents definitely struggle with, is that respect that they feel like they can't get from people. They feel like they need to work extremely hard to be respected. And you don't need to work hard. You just need to do less. You need to do less in order to be respected more. And that doesn't mean you have to sit back and relax on your couch and just like, you need to do that. You need to do that. It means you need to say less. That's also one of the reasons why I believe in not telling people that I'm neurodivergent, because when you tell people you're neurodivergent, you're giving them like one of your poker cards, you're giving them one of your blackjack cards or whatever card you use in a game to play against you. Because a lot of people will start blaming, whatever behavior you have. Like if you're someone who sets standards, or you're someone who's direct, or if you're someone who's, you want things a certain way, people are going to say, well, that's because you're a neurodivergent. And they're going to make it a bad thing. That's just reality. People will want to make it a bad thing. But instead, if you focus on making yourself, very, very hot, very unapologetic in a positive way, and then at the same time, being direct when it comes to saying no, like, oh, no, sorry, I have something that came up, then it will be easier for people to be like, oh, okay, that's just what she expects. Instead of them being like, oh, you're neurodivergent, that's why you're a little weird, or that's why this. Because in society, and this is the sad fact, a lot of neurodivergence has been coded with the term weird or the term strange, all of this. That's definitely not true. And that is something that even neurodivergents carry around with them. And I see it a lot on social media where it's like, you think because you're neurodivergent, that doesn't mean that you can't be a regular person. And that's not true. So if that answers your question, it's basically you need to be more unapologetic, and that can be very hard if you've grown up being a people pleaser. And I know that for a fact. I used to feel like I needed to give excuses for anything. Yes, it's very good to not tell random people you've just met that you're neurodivergent. They don't deserve that information. That's information you need them to earn. So if they want to know you like that, they gotta make sure they work for it. You better work for it, honey. Because they don't deserve that personal information about you. That goes for a lot of personal information. And I think a lot of neurodivergents grow up feeling they need to people please, feeling they need to overshare in order for them to be seen as normal. But in reality, it actually paints them as more abnormal, which I don't want to use that word, but in reality, to a lot of neurotypicals, that's what they come off as. Okay, let me just see. There are times I wanted to mask my autism, but I learned how to be myself. I think there's a fine line between masking and then using masking strategically. I myself, I don't mask my personality. I'm very upfront. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to hide that. I'm not going to try to be this robot because I tried to be like how society is. It's not going to work. That's not how I am. I make mistakes. I I accept myself for making mistakes. I know I'll always make mistakes, but I also know that I need to work on making myself better. But one thing that I do mask is I mask my looks. I make sure that I wake up in the morning, I do my makeup, I have my hair, I do my hair nice. I wear a nice outfit. I wear my little fur coat out. I wear a nice bag. I have my nails done. And that actually sends a signal to the world that I'm very taken care of, that I'm very relaxed, especially because I also focus on the way that I carry myself, like not to be too rushed, not to like try to be hasty, to try to make sure that someone else can, you know, get to where they need to go fast as well. Like I know one thing that a lot of neurodivergents, and I've noticed this as well with elderly neurodivergent women, because I have a couple elderly neurodivergent friends, shout out, and they can have a tendency to try to be rushy, like, oh, I'm so sorry, let me just move this out the way, Your space is valuable. If you need to take a couple seconds to take your back down slowly from getting out of security when you're going on a plane, slowly, when you need to, put on your shoes slowly, put your things in your bag slowly. I mean, I'm not trying to make you, you shouldn't be a turtle. You shouldn't be a sloth, like really, really slow. But take your time, and it's going to make people see that you're not stressed. Do you have tips for dealing with the popular people at university? They're really mean. I try to just not talk or go to events, but I feel like I'm hiding. I'm also not getting any friends. I'm not good with the popular people. I think one thing that I've definitely done throughout my schooling is I've just been unapologetically myself, because I went to a private school growing up where there were a lot of neurodivergent kids. We didn't really know that neurodivergence was anything different. People were just different, and everyone accepted each other, quote unquote. I mean, people were still kind of like, teased, but I didn't think anything of it. I think the one thing is you need to be unapologetically you. I think a lot of neurodivergents try to seek out this validation even from the popular friend groups. And one thing you need to understand is that you don't need to be, they're going to be mean. They are going to be mean. There are mean people everywhere. I remember I had a classmate back in high school. She was a little mean. And you know what? We weren't friends. When we had to do a little something in school and collaborate or whatever, that was fine. We could talk. But I'm not going to sit there and waste my energy on talking about how mean she was, because that's not going to make my life better. Instead, I focused on all the things that I did have. And when I focused a lot more on myself, especially when it came to talking to maybe my professors, like talking to my teachers about things I needed to get done, then it was like, okay, done deal. I don't need to focus on anymore. I can relax. And then people actually came to me and asked me questions. And that made me a couple friends. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay. How do you know if the person in front of me is neurotypical or neurodivergent masking? I think you just don't need to necessarily sit and try to figure that out. That's not for you to figure out. You don't need to try to analyze them. It's going to take more energy from you than it's going to give you back. So sometimes it's just better to figure out if people are good people or not. And the easiest way to figure out if people are good people or not is, one, have your boundaries, and if people don't respect them, they're not good people. Two, be polite, but not necessarily extremely nice. People usually kind of intertwine being polite with being nice. Being polite means being courteous, being respectful for your surroundings, not running around and cussing people out if they're like stepping on your toe or like they didn't bring the drink within 5 minutes. But being nice usually has this energy of like, I'm sorry, oh, do you need help? All of this and all of that. You can be polite. You can set your boundaries. You can set your standards while still being polite. And that's something you need to be. You don't need to worry about if people are neurodivergent or not, or if people are neurotypical or not. it's not necessarily going to be a good friend for you just because they're neurodivergent. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of neurodivergents make. They think that just because someone is neurodivergent, that means that they're going to be a good friend to you. No, a lot of neurodivergents that have a lot of issues seek out other neurodivergents or just people in order to feel validated, to feel like they have someone, to feel like they have a community. But you know what? This community, if you're two people that haven't healed their trauma that meet each other, you're not necessarily going to figure out your trauma. You might just heighten each other because you're both not ready to move on or get better. So I think it's really important that you do not put yourself in a box where it's like, I need to only make neurodivergent friends. I think it's better to just say, you know what? I want to make a friend, or I want to make an acquaintance. And I think it's also something that we don't talk about enough, is the whole friends with everyone thing that everyone's got going on. Every time you talk to someone and you bring up something that happened with someone, you might say like, oh, this happened to a friend of mine. That's not your friend. That's an acquaintance. Call it an acquaintance. Hi, Talia. How would you recommend choosing what subject to study in school? I always picked what I was best at. And that is something that I think is slept on. I remember everyone wanted to do social studies when I was younger. Like, everyone wanted to do social studies because it was cool. It had this international vibe, social studies. And, I'm not bad at social studies. It was just not, I just didn't want to do social studies like that bad. So what I chose instead, I chose French, I chose Spanish, and I chose English as my, majors in high school. And I honestly ended up getting really good grades because I picked subjects that I was really, really interested in and really, really good at. Even the subjects that I wasn't really that interested in, I was so good at them that I just, I could sit and relax. And then the subjects that I did need a little extra help with, I could focus that energy I had from not having to focus on other things. So I think if you want to make your life really easy, do something that you're really good at. And I'm sure that there are going to be options out there for you that are also going to make you money. One thing that I've done is that I'm really good. I'm really good at languages. I am really good at recognizing patterns in society, and I am really I like observing people, but I just didn't want to study sociology. So one thing that I really into is marketing. Marketing is a really, really great tool, and it's something that can actually make you a lot of money in the long run because marketing is needed anywhere, and if you're really good at it. Anyways, choose something you're good at. Say you're really, really interested in, I don't know, paleontology. Shout out Ross. Then maybe that's something that you should do. And consider what might be good for that could give you like a little more leverage. Like, what has jobs that might make you able to work at home. One thing that I can definitely recommend for a lot of neurodivergents is starting your own business, because starting your own business and working for yourself is going to give you so much more leverage. It is going to be hard in the beginning. Anything is going to be hard in the beginning. I'm not going to lie. That's just how the world is. But you can leverage that in the long run for you to be actually less burned out. Does that make sense? No, I'm just kidding. I think it does. Anyways, you have any more questions? Make sure you ask them. I think a lot of times today we kind of like have this image painted that any job is crappy. Like everything is sitting at a cubicle and working for hours and hours and hours. But the thing is, I think it's also toxic to start thinking that everyone needs to be an influencer, because in reality, that is not necessarily fulfilling work. I know for a fact, I've done social media work for nearly a decade. I've done a lot of work. Let's just say it like that. I've done a lot of work with brands, and all of that is super unfulfilling. You're going to be getting PR parcels, you're going to be getting sponsorships and all of that. But in reality, it's just going to make you feel more obliged to people please these companies, because if you don't people please these companies, you're going to end up having to not get these PR, and then you're not going to be invited to events. So it's actually a people pleasing cycle. Oh. Vivi, what question did you ask? I was really interested in seeing your question. And then you retracted it. Aw. But yeah, that's actually what got me really into marketing, because yeah, I saw the terrible sphere of what influencers work with, and that's just not, it's not healthy, you guys. Influencers, as much as it looks like a glamorous life, is not necessarily easier than working a 9 to 5. If you work a good 9 to 5, if you work a 9 to 5 that you enjoy. Influencers have to post so much, or they have to, do a lot of things that can. Oh, Happy New Year, Vivi. Don't worry. If you have any other questions, just make sure you ask them. We're talking about why it's not necessarily good to try to pursue, like the social media life. I think there's a lot of options out there today that are definitely going to make your life easier, going to make your life more fruitful as a neurodivergent. And it doesn't necessarily have to be you becoming a lifestyle influencer and sharing every little bit of your life. I highly do not recommend sharing every little bit of your life on social media. It is not good. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your progress. It's not good for your growth. It's actually going to hold you back a lot. And yeah. Just me and my pink sweater. I hope you guys like my little shelves. I have a couple teddy bears. I have a teddy bear there. I have teddy bears up here, and I have my perfumes. That's something that I really like. Perfumes. And then I found out the perfume that I want next, it's actually not, it's discontinued. Ah, it made me so sad. No, low-key need a perfume tour. I'm gonna end up spilling them all, and then I'm gonna start crying, because I'm very clumsy. It's something that that's one of my biggest flaws. I'm really clumsy. What is my perfume? My favorite perfume is that one right there. You guys, I'm a step in my bed. This one. This one's just my favorite. Hey, and welcome to this ASMR. It smells so good, and it lasts all day. Like, you can spray one spray, and then it's gonna last you all day. And it's definitely, it's not. Oh, how do I set boundaries? See, I dropped it. I told you guys I was gonna drop something, and I dropped it. I've actually already, you can't tell. It has a little scratch. I scratched it. Ah! Anyways, okay. I'm trying to. How do I set boundaries with friends? I'm pretty bad at it. I have been ghosted, but when they come back, I have a hard time keeping them away, aka saying no. Have a boundaries list in your phone, guys. I always say this, and if you watch my videos on Instagram, you'll know that I always talk about this. You need to have a boundaries list. Make boundaries for your friendships, and make sure that you write what you don't tolerate and what you do tolerate. And if people cross those boundaries, they're out of your life. When you keep a checklist of the things that you don't tolerate and that you do tolerate, actually just keep a checklist of what you don't tolerate, then it's going to be much easier for your neurodivergent mind to write them off when they make a mistake. I think one thing that can definitely make you feel like you need to let people back in your lives is if you don't have anything going for yourself that you want to protect. So one thing I can definitely recommend is, if you start leveling up your life, do your makeup nice, do your hair nice, get your sleep, get your nails, whatever it is that makes you feel happy and fabulous. When you take really good care of your skin, really good care of your body, your health, your sleep, your hair, whatever it is, when you take really good care of yourself, that's when you start becoming more protective of yourself, because you've spent all of this energy on yourself. The reason why a lot of neurodivergents tend to let people into their lives again later is because they've created this trauma bond. They've spent so much energy on people that they don't want to let go of this effort they've put into them. So they try to put in more effort. But they're never going to get effort back. Bath and Body Works I made a dupe of Delina called Covered in Roses. I don't really like, maybe that's just me, but I do like some of the Bath and Body Works stuff, but some of it also kind of like, I think I don't know. I've smelled a lot of dupes of this one. And this is the Delina Exclusive, and it doesn't hold as well. You know, this one I can spray once and it's on me for 8 hours, and it's honestly the most complimented perfume I've ever had in my life. People are always like, what's that? I prefer the real one, but I think it's always really good to get a dupe when you're starting out your perfume collection, because it's just about smelling good. But I would always recommend, you know, wearing something that lasts for a longer time. I mean, that's why I got that bottle, because I'm like, I don't want to have it. What do you call it? I don't want to have it. I don't want to pay like a lot of money for like a bottle that I have to go like this, and then it's done. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, I have one spray, and it's the one from, I have one spray, and it's the one from, let me see, this one. This one. I love this spray. Guys, make sure you, do you also have people allowing themselves into your private because of narcissistic hovering? I have family members who are definitely very narcissistic, and they always try to like ask really backhanded comments. Like they always try to ask really backhanded questions that definitely I do not need to hear. I do not need to, like, they're like trying to get into my life and trying to make me feel bad about something. And I'm trying to answer the questions. Well, and these people feel like they can just enter your life, especially when they're family members, because they feel like they have like a right to be in your life. They don't have that right. Just because they're family members doesn't mean that they have that right. The best thing to do is actually to set some boundaries when it comes to communication. Be like, you know what? Wow, I have to rephrase that. When it comes to narcissistic family members, you need to set some boundaries. You shouldn't necessarily be saying, sorry, you can't ask me questions like that, because then they're going to sniff something is up. But instead, when someone asks a question, it could be a backhanded question like, oh, so you're going on vacation next month? You're always going on vacation, huh? Then be like, yeah, oh, I love going on vacation. Like, don't give them something to feed on. Just be nice, and then let them figure out that you don't want to talk about that stuff. How long ago did you move into a more feminine look? I started moving into a more feminine look about a couple years ago. In 2023, I think. Wow, that's a couple years ago. But in the beginning of 2023, I moved on to a more feminine look. I realized that streetwear wasn't taking me where I needed to go. Streetwear wasn't facilitating my life. And I tried out, I dabbled in feminine streetwear for a while. And the treatment difference was so different. I was like, wow, okay, so what if I actually start dressing classy? Then what might I be treated like? And then that changed completely. Okay, I'm trying to read. How to build the discipline I've never had. Once the initial excitement wears off, I'm feeling so bad and dopamine deficient for the last years. I'm kind of numb and uninterested in anything. Well, first and foremost, one thing that I've definitely done that helped me was figure out what things affected my dopamine in my natural life. And one thing that I definitely found out that affected me was my diet. I used to eat a lot of carbs. Carbs are great. We all love carbs. Humans love carbs. I used to eat a lot of carbs, and I'm not necessarily saying you need to change your diet, but one thing that I definitely was getting a lot of dopamine from was the food I ate. Like every time I ate something, I would feel like a dopamine rush and it would go away. So I think the control that I learned from eating a more healthy diet, I still eat whatever I want in moderation. Like I'm not gonna keep myself from eating like a high carb meal once in a while. I'm still gonna eat that. I'm not gonna keep myself from that, but I'm more aware of it. That helped me a lot because it made me understand that I can control dopamine with other things than just, going for a run. I actually also like to exercise a lot. Exercise can definitely help a lot when it comes to discipline. And I think one thing when it comes to discipline, and this is something that I always say, it's not about being perfect, it's about getting things done. when it comes to getting a better life, when you want to get more, if you want to get a bubble butt, the first thing you're going to do if you've never set foot in the gym is not to go and do like 40 exercises and the next day you're going to have a bubble butt. That's just not how it works. The thing you're going to do is you're going to go in the gym for the first time. You're going to go out and try a couple of the machines, maybe walk for 10 minutes on the treadmill, do whatever, feels interesting. And then the next time you come, you might know, oh, I want to try this out that time. And the more you do it without putting a pressure on things needing to be perfect, you needing to follow a workout regimen, you needing to focus on following a perfect diet, the more you shift your focus from being perfect to just getting it done, the more you're going to want to do things, because you're going to understand that you're not going to have to punish yourself for not doing it perfectly. I'm the type of person, I would set these extremely high standards for like my homework and my papers and all of that. Like if I don't get an A+, I hate myself. And I would always like end up being so much more stressed out because I was putting myself and my own life on a pedestal that didn't exist. So, it's all right to cut off those friends who are just in the middle ground and keep them in the back of your contacts. Like for example, if I need their connections later. So there's a big difference between connections and friends. You can definitely keep someone on your roster without being friends with them. I know a lot of people that I can reach out to and be like, hey, I know you do this. Maybe you could tell me where I could find this. But I'm not necessarily friendly with them. It's not like we're out, going out on the town and having a great day and we know all about each other. I think it's about understanding that you don't necessarily need to be friends with people, but I think it's also something to do with maybe Gen Z, that we think we need to be friends with everyone. Everyone needs to know our business. It's this social media thing that, everyone should share everything with everyone. That's not how it goes. Professionalism needs to have a comeback, and you need to guard yourself, gatekeep yourself. People don't deserve that. You can keep people on your contacts, but if they really haven't changed your life, are you sure that they're going to give you connections that you can change your life with? Maybe you should just find some other people that have the right connections that can actually change your life, instead of depending on people that haven't really changed your life yet, are actually maybe narcissistic and are actually just ruining your life. You're considering cutting them out. So maybe you should just put them in the bottom of your phone and then don't talk to them. You don't need to like write them a text message, a paragraph about why you're cutting them off. Never do that. That's bad. I think it's easier for both of my parents are narcissist and psychopath. I think one thing, let me just see. Well, one thing that I can definitely recommend to this person who comments is that it's very good for you to write all of these things, but write them in your diary. Don't write them to strangers on the internet. And as much as, I'm not going to be able to talk to you about your issues. I'm not going to be able to talk to you about specifically all of your deep little issues. I can give you advice about how to make your life better from a point of view. I'm a neurodivergent, so that's what I talk about here. But I think one thing that is definitely important is to sit down and write out your frustrations and the things that you're feeling in a book. Don't put them on the internet. Don't share them with everyone, especially me. I'm a stranger. You shouldn't be writing, all of this personal information to a stranger. That's something that you need to share with your diary and your therapist, not a stranger. And there's many ways where you can ask questions to get help from strangers or people, that might be able to help you without being too personal. The thing is, if you're someone who feels like you're stuck always attracting narcissists, then one of the reasons you might be attracting narcissists is because you're a little too open, or you let people too close to you too early. That's one thing that narcissistic people really, really like. They really like when you let your guard down really early, because that means that they can sniff out any little crack in your surface. They can use anything against you to make you feel worse about yourself. And that is terrible. You don't want people to do that towards you. So, and one thing you need to focus on is don't overshare with people you don't know. And especially don't overshare with strangers on the internet. Because it's not in your favor. You're not going to be able to no one knows what no one can really be in your shoes. So it's important that you sit down and write these dilemmas in a book and work with them for yourself instead of putting them in the online. Putting things online, especially your problems, are not going to solve your problems. It's going to make you try to seek more validation from online. That's a sad thing about social media today. Social media today is like this open sphere where you can put things out and say, well, no one knows me out here, so I can just put it out there. But it's actually going to make you feel like you should just put things out there. But in reality, get yourself a book, like an actual notebook. I don't really have a notebook in my hand, but get yourself an actual notebook. I have so many of them. I actually have one in my bag. Back tour. I always carry around a notebook. I have a little diary, and I carry these around from Muji. Shout out Muji. I love Muji. And they're just these little ones. And every time I'm a little frustrated about something, I write down whatever issue I have. And then you figure it out. It's not about necessarily just solving the issue. You just need to start writing it down, because then you get it out of your head, and then you don't feel like you need to overshare with someone on the internet like me. You know, how do you become comfortable being on camera? You look very confident. They say trying it out, do it. I'm not saying you need to just sit and like put up a camera and just like look at it, but the only way for you to become comfortable in front of a camera is for you to start using it as a tool. I think for me, I have zero social cues, but I also went to music and theater private school as a kid. So I think that definitely makes you more confident, open. And I also think when you create a space that's yours, it's going to make you more confident, especially like if you're trying to go live on your old Instagram and like everyone and their mom that follows you, that you know from back in school, are going to watch your live. Maybe you're not going to be the best version of yourself, because you're going to be like, oh, what do they expect to see? They're going to expect to see the old version of you. So you're not going to become the new version of you. Very philosophical. So what you need to do is make new accounts, go on camera, talk about things you're interested in. That's what I do. And also I like to sing, I like to dance, I like to do comedic stuff. I'm a very entertaining person. I like performing. So that's definitely something that makes a difference to when it comes to being confident on camera. Why are people jealous of people's growth when they made mistakes? I'm not really sure if I understand that question. I don't really understand that question, but I think that's a great thing about questions is I'm just going to take it the way that I understand it. People are usually very jealous of people that, let me see, that grow, because they aren't courageous enough to grow for themselves, and they don't like the fact that you're mirroring to them that you have the courage to take that step. So they become uncomfortable, and they don't want that uncomfortability, because that uncomfortability signals that they can change, and they don't like that. As an attractive neurodivergent, do you think that acting insecure to an extent, not completely self-deprecating, can be good or bad? I think it's all about how you use it. And I'm all about strategy. So one thing is acting insecure. I think it's very important to give people false insecurities for them to feed on, especially narcissistic people, people that have it out for you. If you have narcissistic family members, give them some type of dilemma that you're struggling with, or some type of insecurity that you're struggling with that you're actually not really struggling with. Shh, nothing. You're not struggling with it. But say, for example, your parents or your mom, she's always, commenting on your looks. And maybe one day you said, oh, I wish maybe you actually wished that your boobs were bigger. And you said to yourself, oh, I wish my boobs were bigger. And now the only thing your mom can talk about is that, haha, you don't have big enough melons. But I hope that your mom wouldn't say that. But instead, give your narcissistic parents or give narcissistic people in your life or people around you things that you're insecure about. Don't give them things that you're actually insecure about. But say something like, oh, I wish my hair was a different color naturally, or I wish I was taller. You know, people will just kind of like ruminate about that, and they will be able to spend all of their time talking about that, and then they'll leave you alone because now they know a flaw. So it's good to give people very obvious flaws about yourself. Like, make people know a couple flaws about you. If you appear completely perfect, people are going to sense something suspicious about you. I think there was a study that said that the person in an interview who actually like tripped the cup of the coffee cup during the interview actually got a better performance review during the interview because they weren't perfect and they were not afraid of being imperfect. So they already showed a bit of imperfectness, and it wasn't something that people had to sniff out. Um okay. Oh, I'm trying to answer your question. I think it's better to be honest with that about your flaws, but don't hover around your flaws. Don't be like, oh, I hate this, I hate that, because that's going to make people hate that too. If someone's like, oh, is there something you're insecure about? Be like, oh, I wish I was a little taller, maybe. And maybe you're not really insecure about your height. You just tell them that. And then they're going to be like, really? And you're like, yeah, when I was young, I got bullied. And in reality, you didn't get bullied. But you're like, and when I was young, I got bullied for being only 5'6". And so I feel like, oh, that was terrible. I've seen it can make some people like other girls more comfortable around you and make you more non-threatening. Just wonder about where too far can be. I think if you're trying to be friends with someone who's a terrible person, don't use that. Just move on. They're gonna hate you regardless. People are not gonna like you if you are threatening to them, and people can be threatened by even you being a little bit confident. So use it strategically, use it with the right people. Say you're going for a job interview. Don't necessarily, you shouldn't be like, I hate my lips, I hate my face when you go to a job interview. But maybe drop the pen. Be like, oh, I'm sorry. Don't act clumsy or anything, but make mistakes, and don't be afraid to show that you make mistakes. It could be something like, I love going karaoke. I love singing, and I sing out of key all of the time. I do sing on key some of the time, but I also do sing out of key. And I don't stop singing just because I sing out of key, but it's very clear to people that it's a flaw. Like, oh, well, that song wasn't perfect. And when I go down, I'm like, that wasn't perfect. Ooh. And then people are like, they see me as more human. Okay. Just don't waste it on mean girls. They're going to be mean girls anyways. Thanks for your work. I often have problems with meltdowns. Do you have strategies to make them less severe or shorter? I feel guilty for days and my boyfriend seen my meltdowns. Well, hopefully, I would hope for you that your boyfriend's someone who's able to help you facilitate your meltdowns so you have shorter meltdowns. If he's not someone who's helping you facilitate your meltdowns or who's supporting you through your meltdowns, shaming you or whatever, then he's not right for you. Of course, maybe he's not able to completely understand, but if you've explained it to him, he should be able to understand. First and foremost, that's number one. The second thing is, one thing that I've learned that is making me way less burned out is actually having less on my plate. So, I don't mean food. I just mean having less to do. And people might say, well, I can't just stop doing what I need to do. Yes, it's about taking away focus from the things you shouldn't be focusing on. Maybe you wake up in the morning, check your screen time. check your screen time. You might be spending a lot of time online that you could be spending on yourself. And a lot of that time online, I'm 100% sure that it's not going to make you any better. It's just going to make you look at other people's life and maybe feel like you need to level up to that. Or maybe you feel like you have this FOMO where you feel like you need to post online. That's something that I felt, and that gave me so much burnout because I was constantly trying to live up to this image that didn't even exist. But yeah. So focus on taking more stuff out of your life. For example, limit some of the, like, maybe make new social medias where all of the stuff you look at are cute puppies, self-help, growth, all of that. Unfollow everyone and their mom. If you follow 5,000 people, unfollow them. Follow people that only make you a better version of yourself and that don't make you feel like you need to live up to something. Because it's about being unapologetically you. It's not about trying to live up to things that are not going to serve you. I used to have so many burnouts when I was constantly focused on things that were outside. And now I don't beat myself up if I have a day where I don't eat perfect, or I don't go to the gym, or I don't this and that, but I have a routine. I have things that I want to do, and I have things that make me happy, and I seek them out. But if I have a day where I'm overwhelmed, I'm not going to do it. I used to want to do, like, if I had homework and I needed to do it, and like the day I got the homework, I'm going to do it. And that just burned me out severely. Okay, I got so many questions. Happy New Year's, Andrew. Insecurity can be seen as endearing, the same way as being more attractive makes certain personality traits favorable and endearing. And that is why neurodivergents need to use their pretty privilege. Because if you're a neurodivergent who suddenly, maybe you need a little help with something, or maybe you need a little more extra accommodation, you will be able to get that accommodation ASAP, because people will think, oh, she's a little quirky, not she's neurodivergent, she's different in a bad way. They'll be like, oh, she's different in a cool way. And that's better, because that way people will actually do more for you, and that's what you want. Okay. I've learned about pretty privileged thing the hard way, coming from a household where people always said stuff like brains over beauty. Real world is so different. I'm gonna hit the gym, guys. Have fun at the gym, baby. Yeah, brains over beauty is a lie that society loves to tell people. The prettiest girl can get in anywhere. That doesn't necessarily mean she has the brains to get where she wants to go, or where she would want to go, but looks can get you in. Looks can get your foot in the door almost anywhere. Dressing the right way can get you in almost anywhere. And you can be the prettiest girl and wear tracksuits. That's not going to get you to the club necessarily. But if you dress up really nice, and if you look really nice, and you don't even need to look like a supermodel. I never, ever preach looking like a supermodel. I never want to focus on that, because looking like a supermodel is unattainable for most people. It's about making yourself look like the best version of yourself. Okay. I'm trying to look for a girlfriend, but I was always told no girl wants me. What should I do? Don't look for a girlfriend. Don't look for it. Don't chase it. I don't believe that anyone should chase something or try to look for something deliberately. You are not going to get, if you're constantly searching for something, that thing is not going to fulfill your life. It's kind of like when people try to go party to make themselves happier, or drink, or whatever it is they do to make themselves happier. It's not going to make them happier. You're going to realize afterwards that didn't make you happier. It's kind of like when you go shopping. A lot of people go shopping, and then they realize that was definitely not going to make me happier. And then they spent all of that money. So focus on yourself first. And then when you start focusing on your growth, when you start focusing on leveling up and becoming the best version of yourself, that girlfriend will come along. You'll attract that into your life. It will naturally come along. Hello, Violet. I made it as a neurodivergent. I used the pretty privilege to the max. That's what you need to do. I don't want to promote anything that isn't useful. I don't promote victim mentality. I don't promote, talking about all of your issues all the time and wallowing in sadness and stuff. I don't want to do that. I promote things that actually work. I'm not going to say that society should be better. It should be, but that's not how it works. I talk about things that work, and that's pretty privilege. Pretty privilege works. It helps you get to where you want to go as a neurodivergent. Okay. Who are your role models? Okay. This is a good question. Um, uh, I think this is a good question. Well, I don't think that you guys are going to necessarily think that these people are people to necessarily look up to, but I think it's about understanding what they stand for and how you need to do what you need to do for yourself. So I think role models is like very big. It really depends on the on the thing you need it for. One thing that I definitely think can be a good role model is I really like someone like Walter White. And Walter White from Breaking Bad is not necessarily the perfect person. He's not a perfect guy. Neither are any of us. But, and saying that he's a role model, I don't mean he's like, I look up to everything he does. But I do like that he took matters into his own hands and he did what he needed to do to get to where he needed to go. We're not talking about all of the things that actually happened because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that he did what he needed to do to get to where he needed to go. It wasn't sugar-coated. He isn't lying and crying about his issues, his condition, all of that. He actually stood up, said, I'm going to do something about this. What can I do? And then he did something. One thing that a lot of people do is that they blame society, they blame everyone around them for what happens to them. But if you get bit by a snake, the first thing you're going to do when you get bit by a snake is not to be like, I hate this snake. F you, snake. You're a terrible snake. The first thing you're going to do is try to get the venom out. And I think that's what we need to think about when it comes to leveling up as a neurodivergent. If you start blaming everyone on society, on like about everything you do and that happened to you, you're not going to get to do the work you need to do. That it's not going to take you anywhere. You're not going to become the version of yourself that you want to become. You need to not stop blaming the snake and start taking the venom out. Taking the venom out is what's going to save you, not blaming the snake. The snake is gone. Okay, that was philosophical. I had the biggest glow up physically after my first narcissistic relationship, and now I can just flirt a little and be my free neurodivergent self, and it's so much easier in life. Yes, it is much easier. It is much easier when you actually take your time to just focus on yourself, focus on your looks, become the hottest, bestest version of you. Then you'll be able to actually focus your time and your life and all of that on the things that actually do matter. Because suddenly you're not trying to get your foot in the door. Your looks will get the foot in the door. You will be able to get to where you need to go when you need to go there because you look good. And then you can be your quirky self. You don't have to mask your personality. I used to try to always, overcompensate my personality. But then when I focused on making myself look really hot, people were like, oh, okay, of course I'm going to help you out. And that's why I don't promote looking bad. Like, why are you going to the grocery store in sweatpants? Or why are you going out in sweatpants? People are going to see you as a person who's comfortable going out in sweatpants. And you know what? That's a lot of people. A lot of people are comfortable going out in sweatpants. Americans love that. They want to go out in sweatpants every single day. And they also want to live their life their way. And when you tell them maybe that's not a good idea, maybe you shouldn't wear sweatpants because it's going to make you look sloppy. We know what people say. People say, well, I should be able to live my life the way I want it to. I should be able to be the most comfortable. You know what? If you want to live your life really comfortable, that's fine. But you're not going to be able to get the things that you need to get because you're sacrificing your future comfort for your current comfort. If you started dressing up, you would actually be getting comfort more in the future because you actually put more effort into yourself in the now. Instead of saying, well, I need to be comfortable. I should just be able to wear my sweatpants, not do my hair, not do my makeup because I'm comfortable. I should be comfortable. And I'm not going to sacrifice my comfortability for anyone. People that have that mentality never want to do an honest day's work. They don't want to do the work that they need to do in order to get to where they need to go. They grow up believing that they grow up very coddled. They grow up thinking that everyone needs to tend to their needs because they grow up with this mentality that everything is suited to them. And that's very much a culture thing right now. Like everything is suited to you. Like every year Spotify releases like the Spotify Wrapped, and Spotify Wrapped is like completely tailored to you. Like everything is completely tailored to people. Hi. I used to dress alternative gothic through my teenage years, and it really made it harder. I look like a dusty. I used to dress really alternative too. I used to have piercings all the way up here. I used to have piercings all the way up here. I used to have a nose piercing. I used to have like my hair was kind of fried. Like I used to have dye it and then bleach it and dye it and bleach it. And I would wear like crazy colors. I looked like a Pokemon trainer. It was kind of cool. But it made my life so much harder because I always was like a little bit resentful towards people. I'm like, why are you looking at me? I knew very well why they were looking at me. I'm like, yeah, you can't be like me. That's what I was thinking in my head. Like I was always having some mental battle with people. I wasn't really being me. I was just like having some mental battle with people. Do you have any book, movie, show recommendations that can help us neurodivergent? Well, one thing that I definitely focus on is I try to watch TV that makes me happier, which makes it terrible that I just said that I liked Breaking Bad before. But I like cinema too, so I really do appreciate Breaking Bad for the cinema. But I can definitely recommend watch stuff that lifts you up. Watch stuff that's funny. Watch comedy. I like watching comedy. I like watching stuff that has like characters with the life that I want to live. Say you want to be a housewife. Say you want to be taken care of. Say you want to be a diva. Watch stuff with people who live that life. You know, if you want to be a housewife, if you want to be a kept wife, watch Desperate Housewives. You're not going to have the same crazy, you know, lives as they do because it's a drama series, but you're going to be able to emulate that because you're watching it. Your looks are a form of social capital. Yes. People feel good when interacting with the attracted and what it signals to others as well about them. Cashing in on this social capital, there's high reward. Exactly. And we should always be using the means that we have to better our lives. And that's also when you become hotter, you can actually reject more people. You actually become more comfortable setting the boundaries you need to do because you don't ruminate around, you know, ooh, should I let this person talk to me? Because you're going to be like, no, I'm hot. People talking to me makes them feel better, which means they need to pay to play. Like, I don't mean it like that, but they need to give value to your life in order for you to give time. So if people are just there to talk to you and not adding value to your life in any shape or form, then when you're really hot, then you're going to have an easier time rejecting people, saying no, standing on your boundaries, because they understand. They only talk to you because you're beautiful. You can reject them because you're beautiful. That's what makes you beautiful. But when you become hotter, you can set better standards for yourself. That's just how it goes. Because you put so much work into yourself and people see that. They see that as capital, so they want to be a part of that. And then you're going to be like, no, sweetie pie, that's not for you because you didn't make the effort you needed to make. And then you can be like, goodbye. And then the better your standards get, the more you level up your own looks, the better treatment you'll get from society, the better treatment you will get used to, the higher you move up, and like it will go like that. As a neurodivergent, it also helps with confidence. Having people constantly seeing you as wrong, to them valuing so much that they will take the first step to try and impress you. Yeah. So one thing that a lot of neurodivergents talk that I think is very important for neurodivergents is micro validations. And I think, you know, a lot of neurodivergents are obsessed with this idea that they need to be authentically themselves. Like, I'm not going to do this because I need to be authentically me. I'm authentic. And I think that's fine. You can be authentic, but you also need to do things that make your life better. And focusing all your energy on being authentic means that you're not really authentic. So when you start focusing on looking good instead of looking like whatever you want to look like, then you also realize that the treatment, the micro validations you get are actually going to make you more confident. And I'm not saying chase validation. I'm saying when people give you more time, give you more leverage, compliment your looks, compliment your hair, whatever it is they compliment you on. It's going to boost you a little more and a little more and a little more. And it's going to be able to make you say, yeah, I am that person. Yeah, I am that girl. No, I'm not worse in a different way. I'm better in a different way. If you want to be the exception, if you want to be treated like the exception, you need to be exceptional. And that means dressing nice, looking nice. I like to dress vintage, and when I do, I look rich. People ask me if I'm aristocratic. I love vintage clothes. I personally really like a good 50s looking dress, 60s outfits, anything. I like dressing very like vintage. I just don't have that much vintage looking clothes. I personally like going a little more for the Desperate Housewives 2000 type aesthetic, because it's personally, I feel like it suits me. It's something that I really like, and people often are like a little startled because it's like, wow, you really dress very feminine, especially when you are in a country that's very masculine or androgynous. Then people will think you're very feminine when you dress up a little more feminine. Do you put your eyeshadow in a way that secretly says I'm neurodivergent? No, I just do my eyeshadow. It's Dior. Why do you call yourself a successful neurodivergent? They need to pay to play, and I mean it. It's so funny as our path is so different. I do not need this because I was always entitled since birth. That's an interesting question. Practical shadow work tips. One thing that you definitely need to do, the best way to do shadow work is just to start writing in your diary. Just start writing in your diary. You'll get better at seeing your issues when you start just identifying them. Blurt them out on paper, and then you'll identify them. And you know what happens when you start writing out your things in a diary? You start realizing, like, I have loads of these. Like, I always have these lying around. And I'll go back and I'll be like, I really thought that. I'm so glad I didn't tell anyone about that. When I read my old diaries, I'm like, wow, I was so different back then. I'm so happy I didn't overshare this. Write it in your diary. Don't overshare it with people. Okay. If you feel comfortable answering that, well, one thing that I definitely do believe in is being more courteous with your neurodivergence. So when you go into the real world, your neurodivergence, whatever diagnosis you have, it's not going to make a difference to necessarily how you're treated. And I think it's better for you to just go about it in a way where you understand that you're neurodivergent. You understand that. You understand what you go through, but not necessarily taking tips from other people that go through, that say they go through the same issue. Because one thing that happens to a lot of neurodivergents is that they get into issues when they try to take tips from other neurodivergents with the same diagnosis as them, because their lives are not the same. And that's why I wholeheartedly believe that it's better for you to explore yourself, do the research you need for yourself, and of course use, for example, the tips that I give you, but don't compare yourself. Because the thing about comparison when it comes to neurodivergence, it will lock you in a box of not being able to achieve the things you need to achieve, because you think, because that person experiences that, that means I experience that as well. Or maybe I experienced something similar, that means my life is going to pan out the same way. And I think it's good when it comes to leveling up, becoming a better version of yourself. But I think you need to be courteous of trying to compare your neurodivergence with other people's neurodivergence, because if you are autistic, if you have ADHD, even if you have someone else who has the same as you, they're not going to be able to go through the same as you. They're going to have, it's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. And some people, and if you take on some of the things that most neurodivergents go through, but you don't go through. You actually might make yourself believe that you need to go through this in order to be neurodivergent. And that's not going to make you happier. It's not going to make you a better person. That's why I wholeheartedly believe in not telling people, when I meet a stranger, I meet a not normal, a neurotypical person or whatever. If I meet a person, no matter if they're neurotypical or neurodivergent, I don't tell them that I'm neurodivergent, because you know what that means? That means that they're going to put me in a box. If you go out into the world and you say, I have ADHD, people are going to start thinking what they think about ADHD people. And they might put you in that box where they try to pinpoint things on you. And if you're not careful, you might start making that your identity. People might make that your identity, or you might start making that your identity because that's the first thing you introduce yourself as. And that will hold you back, because it will make you feel like your whole identity is tied up in being neurodivergent, and it also will make you feel like your identity is tied up in what people believe about you. So it could be something like people with ADHD can't concentrate, which is a lie. People with ADHD are actually some of the best at concentrating if they're actually interested in what they concentrate about. But if you really haven't been growing up in a healthy environment that facilitated your neurodivergence, maybe your ADHD was talked about in a way that made you feel like you couldn't concentrate, that it was issues. And if you bring it up with people, then they will put you in that box too. So I don't know if that answers the question a little bit. I hope you're not talking about but yeah, that's basically, it's very important that you guard yourself and you don't take on things that make you feel like you need to fit inside a mold, because there are very, very many successful neurodivergent people out there. There are so many successful neurodivergent people out there, but there are also unsuccessful neurodivergent people, the same way that there are nice poor people and there are nice rich people. But if you start putting yourself in a box with all other neurodivergents, you're not going to get to the potential you want to get to. Well, see, again, it's very important that, I think that's why I created my social medias, is that I think it's about building your power, not ruminating, not looming over this idea that neurodivergence is something that's going to set you back, and that's something that's going to put you in a box. It's something that's going to expand you. Have you had to deal with pressure of being put on a pedestal? On a pedestal? On a pedestal? Me being put on a pedestal? How? I'm not sure I understand your question. If you could rephrase it, that would be really nice. Because I'm not sure. I think I'm just like, me, you're putting me on a pedestal? That's nice. No. Make sure you answer it. Ask it again. I'll try to answer. Halo effect. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. Like I'm holy. Like I'm what do you say it? Yeah, I'm holy. Like I'm holy. Like I'm the one. Like that. Like Harry Potter. Like he was the one. Like Harry. It's good to not live in the victim mentality. I'm still trying to figure out what you mean by that. If I've dealt with the pressure of the halo effect, I'm not sure what that means. I think it also might be time for me to end my live video soon. It's great. People assuming that the best in you and not meeting their expectations feel like bad, for example. Um, well, I don't I think that's more of a personal pressure that people put on themselves. I've never had that pressure with other people because I've always been the dutiful person. I've always been the firstborn daughter who did all her homework and did all of the everything at once. So people never expected me to people never really expected me to do more. I was the one who treated myself worse. Like I wasn't the one who made myself feel better. Like I didn't feel people didn't make me feel as bad about not doing things perfectly as I made myself feel. But um I think for me the issue that I really had was that I thought I needed to be perfect because if wasn't perfect, I was not going to be able to do the things that I needed to do. And when I let go of perfectionism, I actually had an easier time. I'm very happy that I did my perfectionism stuff back in school because it made me able to get to all the things I needed to do. I got the grades that I needed to get, but I definitely learned a lot from letting go of that perfectionism and focusing on myself instead of focusing on what everyone else focuses on. So, um, I think it's about taking yourself out of that. I think the halo effect is something that has a more of an effect on you. I don't, I think it's important not to make yourself, the villain in your own life because a lot of the time people actually treat themselves worse than anyone has ever treated them because and of course if you've been a victim of narcissistic treatment that's going to be bad too, but the way that you punish yourself afterwards by being a victim, um thank you Andrew, I appreciate it. The way that you punish yourself by being a victim is actually way worse for your life than what you went through. Even it's going to be bad to go through that, but you're literally holding yourself accountable for everything that happened to you. You don't need to hold yourself accountable for everything that happened to you. Not in a sense where you need to let go of the past and not hold yourself accountable for what happened to you. You need to hold yourself accountable for what's going to happen to you in the future. Human. Well, I think a lot of people just think I'm nice. Or they think I'm really mean because I can like have a resting bee face. So, I've never had my pretty privilege affect me in a way where people expected more from me. They actually expected less because they expected that I set demands because I dress feminine. I think that's also something that has an impact. What also helped me was a lot of hanging out with neurotypical people that have high life goals because we adapt more easily routines from our friends. Yes, this is why I promote hanging around neurotypical people that are successful. Hanging around neurotypical people can be good because they actually sometimes have their stones and sticks together. Neurodivergents can too, but it's easier for you if you're around. You are the people you hang around. So if you're hanging around sad, negative people that don't have anything going for you, then that's what's going to happen to you. Instead, when you hang around goal-oriented, smart, high achievers, then that's what's going to happen to you. That's naturally going to happen to you. And if you're a little bit competitive, you need to get rid of that. You need to stop comparing yourself to them, but that's not good. I think the sensitivity you're talking about, I think that's something I might have worked on to just get rid of. I don't have that sensitivity where I feel like I need to be nicer when people are nice to me, or like if people think I'm nice because I look good, that means that I need to be nice to them. I think that comes with being focused more on your looks and being more focused on yourself, and you realize you don't need to be nice, you just need to be polite. You need to be a respectful person, and of course be nice towards the right people, but you don't need to be like people are going to see you as a better person. Maybe if they do, that's fine. But yeah, it's good to hang around successful people because that's going to make you more successful. If you're sitting within, I think there's a study done that says that if you're sitting within a certain, like distance of very successful people, you're going to become like 30% more productive. And if you're sitting within a certain distance from very unsuccessful people or like not very hard workers, you're going to become less hardworking. And I think that has a big impact on neurodivergence, especially. Yeah. You have to deal with things the best way you can. You have to play life with the cards you've been dealt. And that's the only thing you can do. Anyways, you guys, I think I'm going to have to log off now because I've been live for 1 hour and 40 minutes and that's a long time. So hope you guys like this live, and I'll go live again another time, and I love you guys so much.